Holli Ulgalde, a 24-year-old banquet chef from San Bernardino, California, competed on the 7th season of Hell's Kitchen, and to a lot of people, will become the first true under-the-radar winner in Hell's Kitchen history. Today, we'll be going through her entire journey in Hell's Kitchen, from every important confessional and moment, and see how this seemingly quiet pretty girl chef was able to come out on top to win this season. Be sure to hit that subscribe and like button to support these story videos, and with that, here is the story of Holli Ulgalde.
Bloody hell, here I go again.
I'm going to skim over these first 4 episodes because again, Holli was pretty invisible. I will say, she did have a pretty good first confessional, saying she would play the cute factor while cooking great, which is exactly what she would do in Hell's Kitchen.
I think I'll play that cute factor, you know? Let's put it this way, I would work just as hard as everyone, but I'll look better doing it.
However, she didn't get off to a good start talent-wise, as she produced an awful signature dish. However, the last 4 winners all had terrible signature dishes as well, so maybe this is actually a good thing. She would also be one of the 9 chefs to not get kicked out on opening night and complete the first ever opening night service, but she was not highlighted whatsoever, ending an interesting premiere as Holli on paper seems like a main character, but is not off to a good start talent-wise. And her winning chances did not get much better the next 3 episodes, as she was practically invisible. Now her moments shown weren't bad, as she got a 404 on the egg challenge, comforted Siobhan after she messed up the rules, and it was shown to be a really good maitre d'. But again, to basically be invisible 4th of the way into the season is just simply not a good sign. And while I know other past winners have been pretty quiet to start, none of them have been as quiet as Holli these first 4 episodes. Episode 5 would be a more visible episode for Holli, despite it being for interesting reasons, as after she and Siobhan scored a point for the red team, she would get involved in quite the interesting conversation about her life.
Ellie, what's your story?
I have probably the biggest porn collection out of anybody I know.
You don't make your own porn.
No. I've made porn with people, significant others.
See, he's coming out.
It's never been aired anywhere that I know of.
I'm lost for words.
That would mostly be it for Holli in episode 5, but episode 6 would finally be a somewhat notable episode for Holli, as at this point in the season, Scott was hated by the audience for his insane cockiness despite not being able to back it up, and Holli was over him just as much as the audience was.
Scott is proving to be possibly the worst cook in Hell's Kitchen. And so cocky. It's the worst thing that ever happened to the red team.
So yeah, while it's not much, the fact that during Scott's boot episode, Holli would get a lot of content bashing the most hated contestant of the season up until that point, that's a sign that the editors are likely trying to get the audience on her side. Combine that with the fact that she really hasn't screwed up much of anything yet this season, and by default, Holli has to be a frontrunner, even though she's probably behind the likes of Ben, Ed, and Jason. However, episode 7 would arguably be the first true bad episode of the season for Holli, as after she scored a point for the red team at the challenge, she was shown for the first time during service all season. Yes, you heard that right. It took 7 episodes for the show to give Holli any service content, and unfortunately for her, it is shown to be a massive mistake, as she would serve up overcooked duck and raw chicken, and in general, she likely made other mistakes that night, as Ramsay pointed out Holli as one of the main problems in the red kitchen that night after they lost service. And it looked like this would cost her dearly, as Siobhan, Fran, and initially Benjamin nominated her for elimination. However, the blue team of all things would get involved and campaign for her to stay. Then again, I guess I can see why a bunch of men would want Holli to stay. This would work too, as Holli escaped elimination and would even be the one to name the nominees of Fran and Siobhan. However, in a twist, neither would go home, as Salvatore would be the boot from the winning team. So a very odd episode for Holli, as while she had her worst service of the season, Lydia and entire team is backing her up. Again, likely a way to prove just how beloved she is, but it is still kind of out of nowhere, especially since a certain storyline has yet to develop between her and another blue team member. But hey, at least she's being shown a bit more, even if it's not for the best of reasons. But these next couple of episodes will be pivotal as we head towards the black jacket phase of the competition. And for the most part, episode 8 would be a pretty good one, as once again she would brag on a villain this season, this time in Benjamin, and earn a point at the infamous sandwich challenge. We would then get a somewhat villainous, but smart move from Holli, and while she didn't necessarily outright use her looks to get her way, she definitely took advantage of an already drunk Ed, encouraging one of the blue team's strongest members to drink and party a bit more, hoping this would backfire on him come service. And this is exactly what would happen, as Ed had his worst service of the season, and the blue team would get kicked out, which is the only way the red team can have a chance at surviving, because spoiler alert, they had yet to outright win a dinner service all season. Despite her efforts though, a red team member would still go home, in Siobhan, ending an interesting episode for sure for Holli. And as a side note on this season's red team, another reason why Holli is likely not a big winner candidate compared to one of the strong blue team members is due to just how bad the red team has been this season. And you would likely think Ramsay wouldn't reward someone their own restaurant when they fail to lead their team to one victory, no matter how talented they are. Anyway, we're on episode 9 now, and this will without question be Holli's best episode of the season, even though it didn't start well, as she only got a 1 out of 4 during the all-important blind taste test, but yet blamed Fran for the loss for getting a 0 out of 4. I mean, I guess something is better than nothing, but still, not a great look for Holli. However, this episode would also be the ever-important team menu service night, and while the red team as usual bickered about what to put on the menu, Holli was in charge of the desserts menu, and her desserts were not only beloved by her team, but by Ramsay as well. Then during service, for one of the few times in Hell's Kitchen history, a dessert station performance was highlighted, as Holli was shown banging out her desserts, the first time all season her service was highlighted for a good reason, and for all intents and purposes, winning her first best of the worst. So despite her palate appearing to be weak, obviously not a good sign for her winning chances, she finally had not just a highlighted service, but an all-around great episode. Episode 10 now, the penultimate episode before the Black Jackets, and despite Holli being invisible for obvious reasons during service, she would once again have another great episode, welcoming back Autumn to the red team, having the best outright dish during the reward challenge, and above all else, Autumn would describe her run perfectly thus far in Hell's Kitchen.
I think that Holli's been flying under the radar. I think she has great potential to be really strong in this competition.
But again, due to Knuckles' infamous meltdown this episode, Holli would be invisible the rest of the episode. However, it would end great, as she and the other main contestants would earn a black jacket, and now the individual portion of the competition is officially underway. And while these past few episodes have made Holli more of a legit contender, she will likely still have to turn up a notch to stand out and win this season. But yeah, it's the first black jacket episode now, and it will not get off to a good start, as the chefs would have to make dishes for culinary students, and Holli herself knew her dish was awful, and she was right, as her dish was rated the worst by the students, with Benjamin in the end winning. Again, it's one thing to lose a challenge due to the opinion of, say, construction workers or students, but to unanimously be singled out for a bad dish by culinary students? Again, not a good look. However, during punishment, we would finally get the start of what Holli is most known for this season, as now finally on the same team, Holli and Jay would begin their showmans as the two made the most of their punishment with some dirty talk.
It's better if you do it on your knees, too.
You're bad.
We just joke around about sex.
Don't choke.
We don't talk about food, we talk about sex. You know, we gotta have some kind of fun with this.
So yeah, after Richard talking about her looks, it seems as if Holli will finally take advantage of it with Jay, who is far and away the frontrunner of the season I might add, and thus, it's very smart for Holli to take his mind off the competition. Holli would then have a good service too. As she said herself, she needed to start to stand out now there was the Black Jackets, and she would do just that, as her performance on Garnish was praised by Ramsay, and was one of the only good performers during a disastrous first Black Jacket service. Despite this, Holli would frustratingly join the others and nominate Autumn for elimination over Benjamin, simply because she had been up there a bunch of times already, despite her doing fine that night. But all this did was pretty much seal Ed's fate, cementing his downfall, a downfall arguably started by Holli. Episode 12 now, and we would really see the Holli and Jay showmans take off, as after Holli would bounce back very strong by winning her first individual reward challenge, she would choose Jay to join her, and I swear, this would be set up more as a date as opposed to a reward.
You know each other really well.
Champagne, anyone?
Oh, we have one question.
Yes.
The prices of how much it would be to stay over. What would you like to have, like the nuptial?
Do you rent by the hour?
A special rate.
We're not that type, well, I'm not that type of person. Jay
not that
may
type of
be.
girl.
Oh my God! Here.
The next course.
Wow. This is love.
But as fate would have it, after spending the day with each other, the two would have to rely on each other during service, but it did not go well, as the two would miscommunicate a couple times during service.
It's supposed to be medium.
2 Wellington, urgently.
Yeah, chef. How long in the Wellington?
We got 14 minutes on the next Wellingtons.
14 minutes?
Yeah.
14 minutes? Are you serious? Okay, 14 minutes on the refire.
Do you refire Wellingtons?
Jay, you said 14 minutes.
No, the next one. Those are the refire ones.
Oh my God. I asked him, how long on the refire? And he told me the wrong time, so, you know, that really looks bad on me.
Luckily for Holli, and for that matter Jay, their miscommunication was simply overshadowed by Jason and Benjamin having worse nights, getting the two put up for elimination, with Jason being the one to go home, and thus, only 3 people now stand in Holli's way, and I think it's safe to say, between Autumn's insane inconsistency and Benjamin's downfall, it's between her and her showman's partner Jay. Episode 13 will begin with Holli once again using her flirty nature to help out her student during the challenge where the chefs had to teach their students and couldn't touch anything. However, I'm not exactly sure if this was the best time to be flirty, but whatever. And hey, her dish would be well received, but she would lose out to Jay, who unsurprisingly chose Holli to join him. The reward this time wouldn't be nearly as romantic as they flew over LA, but still more time for them to bond nonetheless. However, during service, it would be quite the bumpy one for Holli on fish, as even though not all of it was her fault, as Autumn screwed her over with the timing, she would have issues all night on the station, with this arguably being her worst performance of the season, coming at an obviously awful time.
Good.
Right behind. This is hot, chef.
Raw.
It's undercooked. It's just a... Come on! Look at me.
1 minute.
You may have spent the afternoon in the sky, but can you come back down to earth? Thank you.
It's very nerve-wracking knowing that the littlest mistake could send you up for elimination.
I need that dory urgently.
Dory's not going up. Needs 1 second.
Right, oil there. Too dry, the pan's dry, so you're scorching the John Dory. There you go. Holli,
Yes, chef.
big difference between sauteing something, look at me, and scorching something. Thank you.
Yes, chef.
Luckily for Holli, her relationship with Jay would pay off big time, as after he was named the best of the worst, he would protect Holli by naming Benjamin and Autumn as the nominees. Although in the end, it seemed as if none of the final 4 were really in any trouble of going home, as Ramsay surprised them all with their loved ones, and they would all get another chance in Hell's Kitchen. So yeah, while this is arguably Holli's worst service of the season, if anything, this was actually a good time for it, as likely nobody was ever going home, and now with the first ever final 4 pass coming up, that's all that really matters at this point compared to the dinner services. But before that though, episode 14 will begin with Holli once again winning reward, this one being the Taste It Not Make It challenge, arguably the second most important challenge in Hell's Kitchen. But that would bring us to the pass run, obviously important for any chef, but especially for someone like Holli, who has been notably quiet all season and doesn't have much leader experience compared to the other 3. It'll be quite an interesting run, let's see how she does.
Order in, chef.
Thank you. 6 top, entrees, 1 monkfish, 1 halibut, 2 Wellington, 1 beef. Yes, chef.
Right, come on, look, come here. 6 covers away, table 41. How many entrees are on there? Come on.
Oh my God. How long?
Here, Holli, here.
Yes, chef. I got a little flustered. It's like, how do you do this?
You've got to run the brigade. You cannot
Yes,
let
chef.
them run you. 3 scallops.
Scallops. Scott, the scallops need to be cooked on the other side as well.
I thought we only cook them on one side.
No. How long for the scallops?
Well spotted.
4 minutes?
Right away.
Holli, well done. Straight back onto the fish. Let's go.
So a very mixed bag of a pass run, as she was definitely nervous to start and missed 1 sabotage dish, but got another one and really picked it up as she went on. It's very borderline, as while Jay easily did the best and Autumn did the worst, getting her eliminated, it would come down to Holli and Benjamin for the other final 2 spots. And in the end, Holli was able to do just enough to earn herself a spot in the final 2.
The person going to the final. Holli.
So yeah, who would have thought that this chef, who was as quiet as a mouse early on, would be able to outlast all the other frontrunners, with now the only chef standing in her way being her showman's partner. I know a lot of people don't like this season and think it's forgettable, but seriously, what an amazing final 2, both talent-wise and especially storyline-wise. At this point in Hell's Kitchen, the finales are no longer stretched out, which is so nice, and Holli and Jay immediately competed in their final challenge to earn their first overall pick, with Jay beating Holli 3-2. It really wouldn't matter though, as Jay picked his boys of Benjamin and Ed, along with Fran, leaving Holli with her girls of Siobhan, Nilka, and Autumn, which likely would have been her picks had she won regardless. So it all comes down to this, as while Holli proved herself at the past previous episode, Jay is simply the frontrunner at this point, and Holli needs to put on the performance of her life to be Jay. Does this quiet, pretty face have what it takes?
Why is it taking so long to finish?
It's taking forever. Okay, you gotta watch these 2. Watch these.
Falling in. I can remake
Okay, don't film so high. So right off the bat, Siobhan was having problems with the amuse bush. What the is going on?
Shouldn't be struggling with Amuse Bush. That's got to go straight out there, yes?
I want the foie gras, and I want that brioche. Foie and brioche is right here. There you go. Brioche, no, I'm sorry. Noka, no good? Toast that again. Brioche to the window, chef. Here we go. This is table 30.
Holli maintains her standards, and appetizers slowly make their way out to the diners.
Come on, you guys. 2 lobsters, 2 caviar. Let's move it.
Holli's team has picked up the pace and delivered half their appetizers to the dining room.
Really good. Thank you. Nilka! Yes? Nilka, what is this? Do you look at it? It's supposed to be medium. Come on! It's like beef jerky. They may have finished first, but it's all about quality, you guys. Here we have fillets right here. Fillets. Thank you.
Okay, Holly, well done.
Thank you.
Honestly, this is one of the more forgotten great final pass runs in the show's history, as really Holli's only problem was Siobhan being a bit slow. Now granted, since this was a shorter finale, not as much can be shown, and Jay also proved himself pretty good as well, but nonetheless, what a great performance from a chef who nobody would have thought could have led a brigade early on. But again, Jay had been more dominant than Holli all season, and on paper, just seems like more of a head chef fit than Holli. However, Ramsay thought otherwise.
3. Holly, congratulations.
I'm so excited. It's crazy.
So yeah, while Holli was definitely underrated, arguably the most underrated winner ever, I think a lot of people, myself included, forget how great of a run she had. She was a complete standout in the challenges, and while not highlighted that much during dinner services, she was obviously very capable, having at most 2 bad services with some other hiccups here and there. I think what really makes her stand out is her leadership run, as after a somewhat slow start at the final 4, she essentially dominated as a leader from then on, and her literally being almost perfect won her the season, where had she even been average, she likely doesn't even make it to the final 2, and her finale run might be one of the best ever. Now onto her edit. Again, there's no other way around it, as despite all the good stuff she did this season, she was simply underedited. Now again, she wasn't the biggest of personalities, and one could argue that one of the main reasons for this was the editors wanted to hide her on the Trainwreck Red team, as had she got leadership content similar to the likes of Benjamin and Jay, but failed to lead her team to one dinner service victory, that might not be the best of looks for the audience. She did absolutely take advantage of her looks though, as being literally one of the prettiest HK contestants ever, she in some ways started Ed's downfall, and flirted with her biggest competition Jay. Very villainous, but it was never portrayed in a villainous way. She got basically no personal content either, and despite all the good stuff she did and reasons for a quiet edit, it's still pretty unsatisfying for most fans, especially when this simply felt like Jay's season. But regardless, that doesn't really matter, as Holli would be the one to win the season, and while under-edited, also very underrated. So there you have it guys, the story of Holli Ulgalde. Let me know what you think of Holli in the comments below, and be sure to hit the subscribe and like button, and I'll get you more content just like this. With all that said, take care everyone, and I'll see you next time.
Get out of there.